Hey guys, it's Rush. Today I have a brilliant video idea. I wanted to talk about what you should do in a situation where you're left on one flank, all alone, basically to die. Now, for this game, I'm taking a replay of myself in my Object 277. I was anonymized for this, but the primary concern that I noticed when I looked at the enemy team lineup, which is something you should always be doing the second you load into game in World of Tanks, is the fact that they have 3 arty and run the map steps. So when you notice that the enemy team has 3 arty and you're on a map that typically you'd go to the side where there's no arty cover, you often have to change the way you're going to play, and you have to force yourself to go to a side you're not comfortable with. On this map, it's the 1-2 line, because there's arty cover on the 1-2 line. So what I decide to do is I'm like, okay, they don't have a lot of heavies, they have 3 arty. There's arty cover actually in G1. I'd rather be aggressive than passive. What I can do is we've got a 60 TP, an E4, we should have tanks coming with us to the 1 line. I can be aggressive there. They've only got 1 or 2 tanks that I'd expect over there. And then I look behind me and I notice the fact that they literally have we have an E4 and a 60 TP going to the, like, an E4 is camping. He's a tier 10 heavy and the 60 TP is going over to the 9 line. Now, what I have to do as a response to that, I'm not going to go up to G1, which was my initial plan. Instead, I have to take the only other arty safe position on this map that's available to me, and that's next to these rocks right here. And so what I'm doing is I'm coming up to this position and I'm like, they've got a super conqueror. If I stay arty safe and fight a super conqueror, we have 3 arty, I should be good against them, and I basically am trying to find a position to deal with that. Now, as I sit in this position, I immediately feel really exposed. I don't have the gun depression in Object 277 to play right here, which is where I wanted to play, and honestly, that's not even arty safe. But, this type of position where it's not already safe and I don't have the gun depression to make it work isn't good. What I decide to do is I decide to go back to the farthest rock possible. And what that creates, if you look at where my teammates are as I drive back, I'm going to sit here and enemies are going to probably come through this area right here. And that puts the enemies in a crossfire between TD's camping and E4, where the E4 is. So if anyone drives through right here, I can shoot their side and the E4 can shoot their front. The E4 isn't planning this out, but I'm putting him in a position by falling back to actually get shots on enemies who push into me and potentially help him out. Now, the only risk in this position, and I'm sure most of you who are aware of this map have noticed that sometimes heavies will come through here as opposed to my left here. So what I'm doing is I'm watching this side of the map. I don't want to get surprised by a super conqueror or something like that, and I'm just making sure that flank is secure. Now, in this case, you can see I'm kind of falling back, and I'm like, what the fuck is that FE doing? He's sitting in the middle of the open on the train tracks. This is a top tier tank. He's a tier 10 vehicle. He should know better. And then I spot a super conqueror. So in this situation, you see I'm not engaging the super conqueror, and the reason for that is if you look at the score right now, just look, literally we're tied basically. And so what's happening is we're pushing down on the minimap, we're pushing down this side of the flank, we're pushing the 9-0, and what you'd expect is because we're winning the 9-0 so easily, a bunch of their players aren't doing anything. They're probably going to have more than the super conqueror right here. So I'm apprehensive where I am, and I really think it's going to be more than the super conqueror, so I'm not going to try to trade HP with this guy. As a super conqueror, he can just rush into me anyways. He's got the DPM. So what I'm doing is I'm just keeping him lit for arty. We still have 3 arty. A bat shot is spotted over in B9. We've got a 261 and an STRV behind us. The FE is doing his utmost to give the super conqueror damage, and because the super conqueror fired, I'm going to look for a shot on his commander's hatch. I decide it's not worth the risk. I'd rather shoot HE, make that guy lose a repair kit at the very least, and I can put a shot into him while he's reloading. So super conqueror kills the FE. That gives me the chance to put a shot into the super conqueror. I just go for his gun to try to damage it. He reloads insanely quick. I have no idea what the exact second reload on the super conqueror is, but that guy's reload was insane. Now, he's down presumably a repair kit and a med kit at this point, and he's got 2k HP. We've got 2200. In a brawl, this guy is still going to win because he's got the DPM. So if he YOLOs me, he's in the position to do well, but, he can't just cross this gap right here and YOLO into me. But, suddenly a 140 comes to back him up. So 140 backs him up, and you can see the super conqueror immediately puts a shot into the E4. Because the super conqueror was shooting at the E4, I feel comfortable fighting this 140. The 140 is YOLOing me, and he puts a shot into me. That sounded like heat. It was heat. It bounced, and he's just going straight for arty. So in this situation, I've paused it because I'm, obviously I'm going to shoot that 140. What's going to happen as a response to me pointing my rear and being distracted by the 140 is the super conqueror, he's going to take advantage of the fact that I'm not dealing with him or even spotting him for the arty. So what I have to do is I'm not going to sit here with a 140 behind me and a Super Conqueror pushing into me. What I decide to do is I decide to chase down this 140 to get over the tracks so that after I kill the 140, which I do right here, I'm in a safe position against the Super Conqueror. I want this guy to have to YOLO me to get shots, and that puts my arty and STRV in a really good position. So Super Conqueror fires. I know he's reloading, so I'm able to put one into his lower plate. I aim it for as long as I feel safe right there, and I managed to get a shot into him. His reload is incredible. He puts another shot into me. He just tracks me, and I kind of realize at this point that this guy can perma-track me if I'm not careful. So Super Conqueror takes another shot. That moves me into position where I'm going to just try to trade shots with him. I put one into his turret. He puts one into my tank, and I'm going to use my repair kit here because I don't want to risk getting perma-tracked by an APCR spamming Super Conqueror. Like, it's just not worth it. Now, in this case, the Super Conqueror, if you see the map, look what's happening. There's an E4 right here who's flanking this guy. So in this situation, the Super Conqueror is getting flanked. I have already support. I don't have to pressure this guy. The only thing is I kind of need damage. So what's happening is I'm falling back, and the E4 notices the Super Conqueror notices that he's getting flanked by the E4. But this guy's clearly a decent player. He notices that I want to shoot him in the side of the turret the second that's aware. And so what I'm doing is I'm just being careful here. I don't want this guy to snapshot me. I'll let him shoot the E4 first. He does. I put a shot into the side of his turret, and that's the game. Now, while we were busy holding off this side of the map, I want to point out our entire team managed to win the 9-0. And it's plays like this that, you know, when you're alone in this type of situation, I got YOLO'd by 2 tanks, and I made sure that I had teammates. Most players in this situation would be up at F1, kind of to my left, trying to brawl the Super Conqueror. Right here, they'd be getting farmed by arty, and, you know, it just wouldn't work out. The way I played it is often what will turn a maybe like a risky game into a certain win, because what will happen in this type of situation is if you don't control the one line. Let's just say you think they're going to send 5 tanks down the one line and you decide not to leave it. What's going to happen is your team pushing the other side of the map is going to come back to defend the base because you've given up your base. Now, that's fine, but if you can win that side of the map, you do want to take advantage of it, and in this case, that's exactly what happened. Now, at this point, we're just chasing down damage. I think there might be a T92 to my right. If not to my right, he's going to be behind this rock here. He isn't behind this rock, and I see an EBRs coming. I love shooting at EBRs, man. The tip for a lot of people who have trouble with penning those things is shoot them while they're coming directly at you. Now, before we take a look at the Strat Sketch, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a very quick second to thank Ridge Wallets for sponsoring this video. I did an advertisement for them. I absolutely loved it. It was a hilarious advertisement to film, and I hope you enjoy watching it as well. The other day, ridgewallet.com reached out to me, and they basically paid me to mention that the size of someone's wallet is inversely proportionate to the size of their dick. So if you've got a big dick, check out ridgewallet.com. They give a bunch of different wallets. These are about the size of a credit card, and I actually use mine every day, and I have for the past couple months. So I really recommend this product. I've used it for a while. I'm very happy to have them on my channel, and if you want to check them out, link will be in the description. All right, here we are in Strat Sketch. So I wanted to kind of articulate the basic theory on this map that I employed to make it work out, because I think you can employ it on most other maps in the game. Basically, the way this game started off is you noticed that there were 3 enemy arty on the team. And what that means is you have to go where there's arty cover. Now, on a map like this, there's actually 2 positions you can take roughly that have arty cover. One of them is A8. Now, in this game mode, like in this game, as a heavy tank, you could take A8. And I think that would be justified because there's 3 arty and you wouldn't be spotted if you played this position. And it's not like you're the only tier 10 tank. Now, the problem is this position is very popular. So if you're actually going to try to take, like put your heavy tank right fucking here and not get spotted and shoot at people down this line, like down here, you'd find it really hard to actually get shots, because what will happen is maybe you won't get spotted, but people next to you will get lit. You'll get clicked and stuff like that, and people will just get in your way. This position won't work because it's too crowded. Now, because of that, the only other option is basically this side of the map. Now, I started off by trying to take D1. A viable position might have been E1 right here. Now, I see a lot of heavy tank drivers play it. If I recall, the only position you can justifiably take is this side right here. What that will do is it'll make you arty safe, and there's a bush, so you won't actually get spotted, and that can sometimes give you eyes kind of down this road right here. Now, the reason I did not take this position is because I expected a lot of red tanks to be coming up through this side of the map, and if I had to escape, they'd shoot at me through this cross as I run away. So I chose not to take that position there. Now, because of that, I was forced to either play back here, right here, or, you know, in my opinion, this position, both these would have worked. I chose to play C2. Now, the reason this position was not a good one in D1, and a lot of people would actually take that position in my circumstance, is because I was in a 277, and it would have put me back in a corner where there's no escape. Once again, if you're in a situation like this, you want to take a position that actually allows you to run away on a map like this all the way to this if you have to. You want to be able to get to your teammates if you have to. And on this map, there's train tracks covering a lot of your retreat. It's viable to maybe attempt the run to A7. So by playing in C2, I actually made that possible. Now, in this position back here where I actually ended up taking, it worked out really well. I ended up having to watch this line here because I knew an enemy would come up through here. We can just make that guy red. There you go. And I had actually, it was lucky because I had TDs sitting right here who were able to watch this side of the map. You know, even if they were bad players and weren't doing it on purpose, they automatically would have spotted anyone who was trying to flank me like so. So it was actually a really good position. We also had Artie who might have spotted someone trying to flank me. And so by simply putting myself in a position to watch the one line, I also had my flank covered, and that's ultimately why this play worked. If the 140 had been able to get behind me and just farm me without being pressured by an E4 right here, that would have been the end of me. And so the reason this position worked is because I ultimately did have support. I didn't put myself in somewhere like E1, where if I had to run away to the 140 and Super Conqueror, I would have just died. It wouldn't have worked out. So the reason this position worked, I want to highlight, is because I had a support tank here, and I also had an STRV back here. I didn't really trust him. He was AFK at the beginning of the game, but the main thing was the fact that we had multiple tanks back here who were able to help me out if I got flanked, and all I really had to do was watch the Super Conqueror, and presumably I would have had Artie support in that situation. So that's why it worked. Let's go take a look at the end plates. I hope this strat sketch kind of made the strategy a bit more obvious and a bit easier to understand. If you have any troubles with it or questions, just let me know down in the comments, and yeah, end plates are next. All right, now because of time travel magic, we're able to see that I ended up doing 2,541 damage. We ended up getting 3 kills. That put us on second place on the team. Now, it wasn't an epic game damage-wise. Actually, it was below average. Let me put it that way. It was a below average damage game, but still, I thought that the plays I made were really good, and I hope you learned something from watching this video. It's like, you don't have to, a lot of people complain about consistency, and that type of game is a consistent game. You know, I feel like if I had been aggressive in that situation, it would have been like 1,000 damage, and that would have really destroyed my consistency in this tank. And you know, making a 1,000 damage or maybe a 2,000 damage game into 2,500 is really pivotal if you're trying to become a better player. You want to learn how to make the bad games better if you can, and you know, playing the way I did in this type of situation is exactly how to do that. Artie's been a big problem for me in this game, especially when there's 3. You just get focused if you're in a 277, and the other thing that a lot of people have trouble with is just being left to die on one side of the map. And so in that situation, I had to manage both of those risks, and it turned out favorably for me. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.